Good morning. How are you today? If we were where you were speaking to me, what would have been your answer? I am guessing a majority of you, if I had asked you how you were doing, your answer would have been, I'm fine. Now my question is that true? Are you fine? I think a lot of times in the world we live in today, we don't intend it to be a lie, but people ask us how we're doing and they really don't care how we're doing. And we realize they don't care how we're doing, so we tell them what they want to hear and we go on. I guess just me personally, I'd rather not ask if I don't care and people not ask me if they really don't care. Because typically when someone asks me how I'm doing, I'm going to give them an answer. And so maybe people have learned not to ask me how I'm doing if they don't want an answer. But what I want to get to is that even though we say I'm fine most of the time, a lot of times we're not. And just because we're believers, just because we're Christians, doesn't mean we're always going to be fine. There's a scripture I want to share today that I think might shed some light on this. It comes from Psalm chapter 94, verses 17 through 19. Unless the Lord had given me help, I would soon have dwelt in the silence of death. When I said, my foot is slipping, your unfailing love, Lord, supported me. When anxiety was great within me, your consolation brought me joy. I believe, if we're honest, there is not a person alive who in some way at some time hasn't experienced some degree of anxiety. And some people struggle with it a lot more than others. And I know 100% for sure that God is able to help us deal with our anxiety. But what I also want to put out there is that being a Christian doesn't mean that you should just be able to pull yourself up by your bootstraps, get right with God, and go on and things be okay. I do not believe that at all, and if anybody's ever told you that, I would love to have a conversation with you and point to Scripture about why I don't believe that's true. I believe God has given us things in our life, in our situation, people that we're with, even counseling, in some cases even medication, that can help. And I believe God can be a part of that. So I would challenge us to view the Scripture in this sense. You see, when the psalmist is talking about the struggles they have, it's not like they just figure out how to fix it themselves. It says more or less God came to them. So when we're struggling, instead of simply going to Scripture, not saying that you couldn't go to Scripture in this way, go to Scripture, find out what addresses your problems and your issues and stuff, but realize you can't fix it. I think what's important is that we reside in the presence of God, the one who understands everything, the one who knows everything, the one who can grasp what's going on in our lives, in our minds, in our souls, and our hearts more than we can. And when we can reside and abide in the presence of this holy, amazing, loving God, then we become open to receive whatever avenues He has to offer us to discover that peace and that hope that He desires us to have. So, I encourage you, if you have experienced or are experiencing anxiety, to understand this scripture, this psalm. And maybe you know some others who aren't. You can encourage them in this way. And the last thing I'd have to share with you is that we're going to have a guest speaker this coming Sunday. And he's going to be talking about anxiety and faith. And so if this is something that might be a challenge, you join us on Facebook. Better yet, join us in person. And I believe that God will speak to you in some pretty awesome ways. Go and have a great and joy-filled day.